The Get Better podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants. Please remember to gamble responsibly.
I am such a fan of Ben Askren. I didn't know who he was till he came to the UFC. I was drawn to him immediately. I don't know if it's because we got the same kind of dad bod, whatever it was. I was into this guy. Immediately I saw him like, how is this guy? How was he a champion?
Welcome to Get Better Sports for April 14th. I'm Luke Boone here with Troy Gubb. Troy, how you doing?
Good, buddy. Good, buddy. It was so close this week.
So close.
So close. Willie Z.
On Willie Z nonetheless.
Oh, man, that would have been great. That would
I
have
know.
been great.
I'm trying to remember what I said about Willie Z on the podcast. I don't know that I was like heavy on supporting your pick there with Willie Z. But you know what? The kid is impressive. Impressive outing at the Masters. Fun week overall in general. Had a good time. Didn't quite pan out on the overall picks. How'd you fare there?
My 5 didn't come through, but the fact that I had him there going into the Sunday, him sitting in second, obviously 4 shots back wasn't great. But if he had won, that was paid off $1,000 on that $20 bet. So
yeah.
It gave me the opportunity to throw on like a little light hedge, and was able to throw some on Hideki, and he paid off, so that was nice.
Yeah,
so walked away a winner, but not as much as it could have been.
Yeah. I struggled a little bit too. I did well in terms of like some pools and things like that, and I did really well in a lot of my 3 balls. I think I went 8 and 3 on the 3 balls, and I did really well. And it was fun. It was a good week overall. Awesome to see Hideki win it. Well deserved. But it was fun to watch Willie Z when he went 2 under.
Oh my God, I was so excited, man.
2 under in that final round, 2 under through 2. I was like, man, is he gonna strike lightning here? Are we gonna go? This is it. But always tough to get around the Masters and Augusta, I should say. But fun week overall. Totally. Look forward to maybe touching on some of the other majors later on in the schedule. Another one coming up. PJ comes up in May, which maybe we'll talk a little bit about maybe at some point in time there. But this week we are selling our souls to the hype of the Jake Paul, Ben Askren madness. And so I think what we'll do is let's talk a little bit about.
Hold on, before we even do this, Luke. Yeah. I need to get the decor ready. Hold on.
Oh gosh, oh no, where's he going with this? Oh my God, for any of the audio listeners here, what is this that you've just put in the background? What is this?
Do you know what that picture is?
I can't see it. What is it?
That is the classic. I've been wanting this painting for my entire life. I've wanted this since the end of Rocky 3.
Oh my God. You may need to bring that forward. Bring it forward. It's a little bit blurred. Bring it close. Bring it close up. The background is blurred out, and that fancy camera you've got there. Oh yeah. That's a nice painting. That is Rocky. I knew you were a big Rocky fan too. I knew Gub, for those that don't know, is quite honestly, realistically, who isn't a big Rocky fan? But I know you're a huge Rocky fan.
Huge, diehard, man, diehard fan. It's so funny. Is like I'm not allowed to bring a lot of decor into the house, but I've always said, I'm like, Katie's always like, well, you can hang something too. Finally, I decided this is the only thing I've ever wanted, and she's like, no chance of that ever going up. But give it credit, she got it for me for my birthday last year, and it hangs up in our hallway now.
Oh, good for her. That's awesome.
She really came through.
That's awesome.
I don't know if every time she walks by, she's just like...
shakes her head. Like, wasn't
head.
Quite the art we were going for.
But it was a great gift. Great gift.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool painting for sure.
It fits this week, boxing. I wish we were talking about something like some big matchup, but this is what boxing has kind of become. And to be honest, I'm kind of into it. Oddly enough, I'm into this fight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give me your take on this, because I agree with you too. I think I could go kind of 2 ways on this. One, it's tough because I think there's a lot of professional boxers out there that are shaking their head and just flat out angry at the fact that you've got two guys that have, well, Jake Paul has got, I don't even want to call it moderate boxing experience. He's got a lot of money that he's thrown behind a high-powered team that's training him, and he has a desire to become a true sort of professional boxer. He's got 2 fights under his belt. One was against a former NBA player. Yeah. And then you've got Ben Askren, who is a fighter, totally. Not a boxer. Let's be clear on that.
Yeah, the one thing he is not is a boxer.
Yeah.
But he was great. I am such a fan of Ben Askren. I didn't know who he was till he came to the UFC. I was drawn to him immediately. I don't know if it's because we had the same kind of dad bod, whatever it was. I was into this guy immediately. So I'm like, how is this guy? How was he a champion? And he came over, won his first match. Kind of on the, did he finish him? Did he not? And then that poor knockout against Mazalov. It was so tough. That one always hurt. I want him to get a rematch for him one day so bad, just so he could just prove that maybe that was a little bit lucky. But I'm such a fan. I'm making excuses for him, and I'll be making excuses for him right up until the end of this fight here. So
there's something cool about Askren.
Yeah.
Right?
It's his style. He's so slow, but he's different. But he's tough, man.
Yeah,
he's tough.
Yeah, good jaw. Good jaw on him. There's a reason why they call him Funky, right?
Funky,
isn't that's his name? Man. It's just like that's and he's kind of like laid back, easy going kind of guy. Like
curly hair.
Whatever, right?
Big crypto guy. Right? Heavy into crypto. Big frolf guy. Frisbee golf.
Yeah.
Have you ever done Frisbee golf?
I haven't. I've got a couple buddies that got big into it. Actually, it was my brother-in-law. Actually, his buddies are like massive into it right now, and I've got a few other buddies that have talked about they've gone a couple times. They really like it. Well, I've never done it.
So we did it. I mean, me and 3 of my buddies went to Center Island. So they have it downtown Toronto, Center Island. They have a little frolf course. So you take your little frisbees. You go. Normally the guys have different sets. So there's a driver frisbee and a different
I've
frisbees
heard this.
set. We just brought your basic. Everybody brought their one frisbee, but we went a little farther. We brought some drinks with us, and then got in one of those. Those carts you rent, those bicycle carts.
Yeah.
That you can rent as a family of 4 or a family of 2, right? We decided to get those as our golf carts, our frisbee golf carts. But it was such a joke. We'd throw the frisbee. You go 5 feet, right? Because some of them were just terrible. But we'd have to drive this damn cart that we'd pedal, and it was a wet day. So it was kind of like the tires were spinning, so it became more of a chore to do this. But if someone got out to try to walk up to that frisbee, they were dead to us. We had to get your ass back here. We have to pedal this thing. It was a disaster, but it was a fun day. Frolf. We got to get up for some frolf.
I know. I you know what? I wouldn't mind checking it out. Yeah. I didn't know that about Askren, that he's a big frolf fan, but there's a fun fact. Fun fact there, right? Some trivia in case anyone runs into some Ben Askren trivia. He's a big frolf guy on top of a crypto guy.
You hit up a good point though. The boxers are probably they're on 2 sides of this, right? It's one you gotta have a little bit of jealousy and a little bit of hate for what Jake Paul is doing because of the work you've put in. Yeah. But then at the same time, you got to tip the cap.
Yeah.
It's the marketing that he's been able to do for himself in this.
Yeah.
If you're a smart boxer now, you got to be thinking about something like that.
You got to build a brand.
You got to do it.
You got to find a way to build a brand. Now, let's be honest. I mean, the Paul brothers, I wouldn't, they're not somebody that I would ever want to model myself after, or someone that I would be showcasing to my young kids by any means. They've done what they've done to build fame and notoriety, no question. They've built a brand and they've stayed relatively true to that brand. It's just fascinating that now they've taken this sort of liking and idea of becoming professional boxers, and because they've built, the bit of the, I don't know if you call it an empire. Empire might be an aggressive word for them, but they built a brand that's strong enough that has allowed them to afford professional teams that can back them and support them and get them there. And there are some boxers that have poured sweat, blood, and tears into trying to get to this level. Yeah. And these guys are going to come out and fight for 8 rounds. Yeah. Ben's never had a professional boxing bout ever in his career. Jake Paul's fought twice, and as I said, one was against an NBA player. It's all a little bit of a joke, but
a little bit.
But there's something about it here that I can guarantee you, come Saturday night, they will draw massive numbers. Big.
I'm so curious. Obviously, not a huge Jake Paul fan. He's so easy to hate, right? Yeah. You always need a good villain, though. You always need a good villain for a fight like this, and he definitely is playing the villain well.
Yeah.
But I just wish there was some more substance to him, like something that could be like, okay, well maybe he's nice because of this, but there's
tough
nothing.
to find. Yeah.
Tough to find. Yeah, he's not somebody I want my kids to kind of look up to, really.
Yeah, I don't know if he's the most likable guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've thought a lot about this. I'm like, when it comes to the Paul brothers, there's really like two people. You either like them or you don't. I very rarely found anyone that, unless you just don't know who they are. But I think it's tough. I'd have a tough time backing him in this fight. I'd love to see Askren win. Here's a question for you: who's got more to lose in this fight?
Paul, to Ben. This is Ben's biggest payday he'll ever get. Right. This is his last final payday. I don't know who he's fighting after this. He's retired. He just had hip surgery. If he loses to a boxer, he was never a boxer. It sucks that he lost to a YouTube star and he has to feel that. But to Jake Paul, if he loses, what's even next? Who? Everybody would be at the bet. Yeah, I'll take the payday. Mm-hmm. But who would he even challenge? He'd just be out there to embarrass himself again, unless he's really going to put in the work. But I don't know.
Well, and it's tough to tell too, right? Like, because you hear rumors that like it's legit. Like he's putting a lot of work and he's got a team behind him, right? Of really good trainers and some guys that really know the sport, and so you get the feeling like he's serious about it, but at the same time you're fighting Ben Askren, right? Who's not a boxer. It feels like you're trying to set yourself for a little bit of a layup here. He's gone after McGregor a couple times, and McGregor can box. McGregor can stand in there and go toe to toe with you. We know that, right?
That's next. If he wins, if he beats Askren, then it's gonna be somebody like that next.
It's got to be a big name, right? Like, and we know his brother's trying to go after Mayweather, which to me that's just a joke. Yeah. Like that's crazy to think that Logan Paul will get in a ring with Mayweather and think that he can win. What I hope, like, it'd be interesting to see what happens, and I think it kind of goes a couple of different ways. I think Jake Paul might catch Ben quick. Ben's not the fastest man. Yeah. He's not a fast man. He's got from what we've seen, he's got a decent jaw. But Ben's got to get in tight quick, and he's got to wrap him up. He's got to play kind of that dirty game, get in close, and just annoy Jake. Because the longer this fight goes on, the worse it is for Jake Paul. I think it looks worse for him. That if you got a guy like Ben Askren, who's a wrestler at heart, doesn't know how to box. He's had I don't even know what it is. Like, when did they agree to this fight? It hasn't even been a year old. Like it was. Yeah. And Ben has not had. I heard something was like 12 weeks that Ben has been training, and like that's not enough time to really learn and understand boxing.
That's the one scary part. Is I was listening to GSP went on Rogan, and he was talking about how he met with Freddie Roach, world-renowned boxing coach, Freddie. And he's like he was only there for a week, and it was like a little disappointing that he only went for a week.
Like Askren was there for a week.
He was only with him for a week. He could have done a longer camp with him. Now, again, he might have a different variety of people he's seeing and stuff like that, but it's a cram session for sure in boxing.
100%.
Right? And I think what Ben was going to do is he's going to try to get in tight and put his weight on him. Like, he really wants him to overexert himself, tire him out, and then maybe get in there and take it to him and really find out what Jake Paul's about. Like, we're going to find out about him. I don't think he knocks him out by any means.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get to see him go a little farther, show off some stuff maybe, but
I mean, there's a lot of there's some big differences here when you think about it, right? Like, it's like age difference is pretty significant. Yeah. Paul's 24, Ben's 36.
Coming off hip surgery, man.
Surgery.
Yeah.
Paul's
it's so old, man.
Jake's 6'1", Ben is 5'10".
Yeah.
So best known for. I love that. That's one of the best known for Askren, it's UFC. For Paul, it's YouTube. It's crazy that this fight's even happening. It's insane. But hey, I mean, like, hey, we're all in on it. It's all the rage, all the hype. It's what everyone's talking about this week. Will you watch it?
100%.
Yeah.
The one little curveball out there is if Askren wins, what does that mean for boxing and Thriller, the company that's behind all this? Because they're really bringing this push back. Like, they're the ones that did the Tyson fight.
Yeah.
And that drew huge. I mean, Paul was the undercard on that. But it's what does that mean for them? Does it hurt their brand in some way? And it makes you question. But a win would be really great for them.
Yeah, I feel like there's a market here for this. I think when you're looking at the hype, there's a market for this kind of stunt style bouts, like fights that are set up that draw some interest and intrigue. Everybody loves a good story like this. It's one of the main reasons why everybody watched Mayweather and McGregor. Everyone wanted to see if McGregor could do it. Yeah. Right? And he hung in there for a long time.
I thought he had a chance for a little bit.
So did I. It was fun. That was fun to watch. Right? Like, that was fun to watch. I feel there is absolutely a market for this. And it's interesting because the Paul brothers are kind of playing into it a little bit, right? Like,
it's brilliant.
Yeah. That is where you tip your cap a little bit. They've identified, and they've done it obviously all throughout their YouTube careers and started with Vine, and they've been able to tap into markets where they know there's interest and build and grow a following. And this could be one. It would be interesting to see. I do feel for some of the boxers that are out there. Like, there's some big fights this year. There's a massive heavyweight bout. And Anthony Joshua, or maybe I'm reversing that name. But there's a massive heavyweight fight this year.
That's the fact. I couldn't even tell you who's in it. Who's he fighting? No idea. That's how far gone I am from boxing now. Like, I was there when, Tyson, Holyfield, those days. But I've dropped off. Yeah, maybe caught a Mayweather Pacquiao, I think I did. But other than that, it's really been pushing towards UFC. So, man, it's big. This is big for this is a big night for boxing.
It's huge. And you just hope Anthony Joshua. Did I say that's what I said before? Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. That's a massive fight this summer coming up. And will it get an ounce of the excitement that we're seeing here around a YouTube and a UFC fighter? We're gonna go toe to toe on Saturday night.
Does that fight draw a younger millennial audience, an audience you should try to be going after? I don't think they market themselves.
Which is not the way they market.
They're still doing they're still doing the old school kind of way, and you got to change with the times. You got to market the way you should market now. Yeah. And to be honest, the way Thriller's doing it, I think Bieber's going to be there performing or something like that. Like, they're doing it right. Whatever they're doing, they're doing it right. Smart. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be fun to watch. I will be tuning in as well for sure. Yeah. So let's just talk maybe a little bit about boxing in general.
Yeah. Tips and
some
tricks.
Tips and things to look out for. And quite honestly, I've never bet on boxing before. I don't know if you have.
No, if it is, it's a straight kind of like who's going to win, and that's it. So it was fun to kind of put a little work in and see different ways to bet on boxing and really what you should be looking for. And the very first thing that jumped out was when you see a heavy favorite, don't just bet on the heavy favorite. Bet on that KO. That favorite instead. Because you got to ask yourself, why is that person a heavy favorite? So, if they are a minus 500, let's say, to win the fight, and only a minus 125, 130 to win by knockout, that's the play. That's where you want to play.
Yeah, well, you gotta figure out where you can find value, because I think a lot of people, when they do bet boxing, they look at that straight sort of money line bet in terms of who's going to win. So to take that one step further and try to find some value, if you do see a guy, to your point, that is a heavy favorite and you think there's a good chance that they can knock him out, again, there's that whole research element that we always talk about. So we'll go back and look at. So is this fighter known for knocking people out, or more so known for drawing a fight out and going the distance and that whole thing? You got to take that into account too, for sure. But if there is a heavy favorite who is a power puncher and has the ability to knock a guy out, then yeah, you're probably better off maybe trying to gain a little bit more value and look at that KO. So, and I think you brought up a good point there too, is just identifying the ways in which you can actually bet boxing. And you got to look around a little bit, the sites. We talked about that in some of the other podcasts that we've chatted about. But you got to shop around a little bit. Like, you know, we've looked at a couple different sites here. Some will offer props and some won't. Yeah. So the ways in which really you can bet on boxing is a lot similar to other sports. In terms of looking at the money line, there's a lot of prop bets, and you can drill right down into round prop bets as well as overall fight prop bets. So betting that KO is kind of one of those ways of betting a prop for the overall fight and who you think is going to get knocked out. But you can also just bet, will there be a knockout? And then the other way that you know, just from what I read over the course of the week, is that there seems to be some popularity growing in over-under as well, in terms of how long a fight will go and what you anticipate, whether it'll go over a certain round or under a certain round. So it's very similar in the ways that you would approach a lot of other sports in the way you bet. I think the big piece is really you got to really put in some time and some effort, and we talk about this obviously with everything. And to be a successful gambler, to be a successful sports bettor, you've got to be willing to do some of that research and insight. So, and boxing is no different. The difference is you really got to focus in on these individuals and understand their boxing styles. Who's quicker, who's slower? You know, are they a counter puncher? Are they a power puncher? All those types of things go into really kind of identifying, knowing, and understanding the best ways to pick and bet. One of the other pieces that I thought was interesting when I was reading a little bit was just on training camps. And they talked about following and looking at the training camps and how much time and energy that's being spent in those camps. So if you got a fighter that's coming off a relatively quick fight and he's got to turn around and get back into camp for another one coming up, you know, how does that play into his preparation for the next one? So lots of different nuances and ways to look at it.
The one about that jumped out too was like you know, picking a round, right? Picking the round the person is going to win, and I want to do that in this Askren Paul fight. But they tells you that the reading was, don't do it. The chances are really slim. Of course, if you hit it, it's a nice little payout. Yeah. But I started to play around with the numbers, and there's only eight rounds in this fight, and I'm leaning a certain way. And no matter what, if I were to bet $25 in each of those 8 rounds, spend $200, if I hit any one of those, I'm making money. And if I hit one of the late ones, I'm going to make some significant money. So I'm going to try that this week. Now, if the other guy wins, I'm done. And I'll tell you who I'm picking in a second. But
yeah. I mean, the challenge. I guess the challenge with the theory is if he gets knocked out in the first 30 seconds in the first round of the fight,
it's gonna hurt.
That one's gonna be a tough. But you know, that's why we call it gambling. It's gambling. It's betting for a reason.
A risk,
You know, it's not a 100% payday. So let's talk about that. I'm not entirely sure that I would bet on the Paul Askren fight. There's just too many variables here. And I think one of the things we should talk about too is we've looked at 2 different books here.
Crazy how I've never in my life seen one site be so different. Like we're like shop the lines, trying to get an extra 0.5 here. That's it. This is insane. It's full on Askren over here, full on Jake Paul, and like leaning to almost plus 200 for Paul over here and 135 for Askren over here. So I don't even know where to go. I'm going to bet on the one that's a little bit better for my guy, but
So for me, like looking at the 2 books and seeing just how drastically different it was, it is a sure tell sign that I'm going to stay away from this. I don't think that I just don't feel overly comfortable. The one thing they do obviously is, you should never bet with your heart for sure. But at the end of the day, I mean, I may throw a little something down just to make watching it fun and exciting, but just how different the two books are is makes me feel a little bit wonky about this one, and maybe not something that I want to place any wagers on. But who you got? Tell me who you got.
I was going to ask you first.
Oh.
It says, do you think the boxer wins the boxing match? Is the question. And that's what you really got to, I think, the big question. Or is the old athlete got one more sport in the tank that all of a sudden he's going to be good at? Everything in my mind says the smart money is pick the youth, pick the boxer, put the guy that's been putting in the most work. Because I do a little bit question some of Askren's work on this. He's just going and saying this guy's a YouTuber and this is one final great payday for him. But I'm taking him. I'm with Funky. I'm taking him. He's my guy. I'm riding with my boy. Yeah. Totally betting with my heart. It's not right. I'm going to bet him every round to win, hoping he wins in the 8.
Okay, I would advise against betting every round.
I'm betting every round, and I'm going to win one of those rounds. You watch it.
Okay. I hope you do. I really do. I hope you do. And I might take Askren just simply for the fact that his name is Funky. I mean, what a great handle. But yeah, I agree with you 100% on everything you just said. The smart pick is maybe to go with youth and a guy that's training and actually really wants to become a boxer from everything that we've heard. Whereas Ben is like, I'll take this paycheck and I'll fight this guy and I don't care what happens. So I've got nothing to lose. So yeah, but I want to see Ben take it to him. At the end of the day. That's just what I want to see happen. I just don't know. I don't know how it happens. But at the end of the day, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be interesting. I feel like we should circle back on boxing again when we get a real bout here. Yeah. If any of our listeners are avid boxing fans, and I got a couple buddies that I know enjoy watching boxing.
Let's get a guest.
Yeah, but we should circle back and really like look and dissect a real bout at some point in time. We gave a few tips here on boxing, but maybe we'll circle back on that Fury fight that's coming up, which would be a big one. Awesome. And we may have a peek at that. But this will be an exciting weekend, fun to watch.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that's it for this week. Like I said, we jumped on the hype train here with the Paul Askren fight. If you're listening through Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify, be sure to check us out on YouTube. We've got the full videos up there now, as well as some fun clips. You'll be able to check those out. So give us a look on YouTube and subscribe. And we have some more up and coming topics to touch on in the next few weeks. The one thing that I think I'm a little bit excited about, I am excited about it. We'll see how it goes. Kentucky Derby. Get into the ponies.
We'll
get into the ponies.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be fun. That'll be fun to chat about. So we'll look into to chatting a bit more about that in the next few weeks. But that's it for this week. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week. Enjoy the fight.